I never imagined that my father's stroke would reveal just how little my own brother valued everything I'd built. But when Derek Martinez walked into our family warehouse on that scorching Phoenix morning and announced he was cutting my salary in half, I realized the real battle for Martinez Construction Supply was just beginning. What my older brother didn't know as he smugly adjusted his expensive tie in our dusty office was that our biggest client had been planning to leave us anyway. And his first decision as my new boss would either save our family business or destroy everything our father had spent 23 years building. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The Arizona sun had barely crested the Camelback Mountains when I pulled into the gravel parking lot of Martinez Construction Supply, the family business that had been my second home since I was old enough to stack lumber. Our warehouse sat in an industrial strip along Grand Avenue, a 15,000 square foot testament to my father Roberto's relentless work ethic and unwavering belief that quality materials and honest service would always find their market in Phoenix's booming construction industry. I'd been arriving at 6:30 every morning for the past 6 years, ever since graduating from Arizona State with my business degree and officially joining the company as operations manager. While most of my college friends had scattered to corporate jobs in air-conditioned offices across the valley, I'd chosen to stay close to home, drawn by the satisfaction of building something real alongside the man who'd taught me that your word was your bond and your reputation was everything. The warehouse hummed with familiar sounds as our morning crew prepared for another busy day. Forklifts moved pallets of premium hardwood flooring, custom millwork pieces awaited pickup by discerning contractors, and the sharp scent of fresh-cut pine mixed with the metallic tang of steel fixtures. This wasn't Home Depot or Lowe's territory. Martinez Construction Supply specialized in high-end finishing materials for Phoenix's luxury home market, catering to contractors who understood that their reputations depended on using the finest available products. My father had built this business from nothing after immigrating from Sonora in 1995 with little more than a strong back and an unshakable belief in the American dream. Roberto Martinez had started by working construction crews during the day and selling surplus materials from the back of his pickup truck in the evenings. 23 years later, Martinez Construction Supply employed 25 people and generated $8 million in annual revenue, serving contractors from Scottsdale to Tucson. I'd grown up watching Roberto transform from day laborer to respected businessman, learning that success came from understanding every aspect of your operation. While other kids spent summers at camps or playing video games, I'd been here learning the difference between red oak and white oak, understanding moisture content in lumber, and discovering which suppliers delivered consistently and which ones cut corners. By age 16, I could calculate board feet faster than most contractors and had developed an eye for quality that impressed our most demanding clients. The morning routine was sacred to me, checking overnight emails from suppliers, reviewing the day's delivery schedule, and walking the warehouse floor to ensure our inventory matched our computer systems. Our office manager Maria Santos would arrive at 7:30 with fresh coffee and the previous day's sales reports, followed by our drivers and warehouse crew preparing for the daily hustle of Phoenix's construction boom. But this morning felt different as I unlocked our modest office attached to the warehouse's front corner. My phone had been buzzing since dawn with calls from contractors asking about delivery schedules and material availability, but underneath the normal business energy, a weight pressed against my chest that had been growing heavier for 3 weeks. 3 weeks since Roberto Martinez had suffered a massive stroke while reviewing blueprints in this very office, collapsing behind the desk where he'd built our family's American dream one customer relationship at a time. 3 weeks since our world had shifted on its axis, leaving my mother Carmen devastated and our entire operation suddenly rudderless. Roberto was stable now, thank God, but the doctors at Banner Good Samaritan had been clear about his prognosis. Extensive brain damage meant months of rehabilitation ahead, with no guarantee he'd ever regain the sharp business instincts that had made Martinez Construction Supply a respected name throughout Arizona's construction industry. The man who could remember every customer's preferred payment terms and had never forgotten a contractor's birthday was now struggling to remember what he'd eaten for breakfast. As I booted up our aging computer system and began reviewing the day's priorities, I couldn't shake the anxiety that had been building since Derek's phone call 2 days ago. My older brother, who'd left Phoenix 8 years earlier to pursue corporate consulting opportunities in Dallas, was finally coming home. Not to visit our hospitalized father or comfort our grieving mother, but to assess the business situation and implement necessary structural changes. Derek Martinez had always been the golden child, the one with the MBA from Arizona State's business school and the polished corporate vocabulary that impressed our extended family at gatherings. While I'd chosen to stay close to home and learn the construction supply business from the ground up, Derek had chased prestigious consulting positions with firms that specialized in operational efficiency and cost reduction. His LinkedIn profile, which I'd reluctantly checked the night before, boasted about driving double-digit profit improvements through strategic restructuring initiatives. The irony wasn't lost on me that Derek was now returning to rescue a business he'd shown little interest in for nearly a decade. During Roberto's slow recovery, it had been my responsibility to keep Martinez Construction Supply operating smoothly, maintaining relationships with our key contractors while managing the day-to-day complexities of inventory, scheduling, and customer service. Our employees had looked to me for leadership during the uncertainty, and our clients had continued placing orders based on their trust in my ability to deliver.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
Deliver the same quality service Roberto had always provided. Maria Santos arrived precisely at 7:30, her usual cheerful demeanor tempered by the concern we all shared about Roberto's condition and our company's uncertain future. At 45, Maria had been with Martinez Construction Supply for 12 years, starting as a part-time bookkeeper and gradually becoming the administrative heart of our operation. She knew every contractor's quirks, remembered every supplier's delivery schedules, and had developed relationships with our customers that went far beyond simple business transactions. "Morning, Jake," she said, setting a steaming cup of coffee on my desk, along with the overnight fax orders and supplier confirmations. "Derek called about an hour ago. He'll be here at 9 for what he called a comprehensive operational review. He asked me to prepare financial statements for the past 3 years and employee compensation records." The request sent a chill through me that had nothing to do with our office's aggressive air conditioning. Financial reviews and compensation analysis were typically preliminary steps in corporate restructuring, the kind of efficiency improvements Derek specialized in for his Dallas consulting clients. Companies brought Derek's firm in when they needed to cut costs quickly, usually through workforce reductions and operational streamlining. "Did he mention what kind of review?" I asked, though I suspected I already knew the answer. Maria's expression grew troubled. "He was very formal, very corporate, nothing like the Derek who used to help unload trucks during summers in high school. He kept referring to optimizing operational efficiencies and right-sizing the organizational structure." The corporate buzzwords confirmed my worst fears. Derek was approaching Martinez Construction Supply not as a family business that needed careful nurturing during a difficult transition, but as another consulting assignment requiring aggressive cost reduction to improve profitability. He'd been away long enough to forget that our success came from relationships and reputation, not just numbers on a spreadsheet. I spent the next hour reviewing our recent performance metrics, preparing for whatever analysis Derek planned to conduct. The numbers told a story of steady growth and solid profitability, though cash flow remained tight due to our recent expansion into higher-end architectural millwork. We'd invested heavily in new inventory and equipment over the past 18 months, positioning ourselves to serve Phoenix's luxury construction market as the city's population continued surging. Our client relationships were the real strength of Martinez Construction Supply. Contractors like Tom Bradley of Bradley Custom Homes had been working with us for over a decade, trusting our expertise to source specialty materials for their high-end projects. When Tom needed hand-selected walnut flooring for a Scottsdale mansion or custom-milled trim work for a Paradise Valley estate, he called us first because he knew we'd deliver exactly what his discriminating clients expected. These relationships couldn't be quantified on financial statements, but they represented the true value of our business. Roberto had taught me that construction contractors worked with suppliers they trusted, not necessarily the cheapest option. Our markup might be higher than the big box stores, but our contractors knew they'd receive premium materials delivered on schedule with expert support throughout their projects. At 8:45, a silver BMW pulled into our parking lot, looking distinctly out of place among the pickup trucks and work vans that typically filled our customer spaces. Derek emerged wearing a charcoal business suit that probably cost more than most of our employees earned in a week, consulting a phone while surveying our facility with the analytical gaze of someone calculating square footage costs and operational efficiency ratios. My older brother had always been handsome in a polished corporate way, but 8 years in Dallas had transformed him into someone who looked like he belonged in boardrooms rather than construction sites. His hair was perfectly styled, his shoes gleamed despite the dusty parking lot, and his entire demeanor projected the confident authority of someone accustomed to walking into struggling businesses and implementing dramatic changes. Derek entered our office with the measured stride of a management consultant conducting a site assessment, greeting Maria with professional courtesy while scanning our workspace with obvious judgment. Our modest office reflected Roberto's practical priorities: functional furniture, filing cabinets filled with supplier catalogs, and walls covered with product samples and client photos rather than expensive artwork. "Jake," Derek said, extending his hand with a firm shake that felt more like a business negotiation than a brotherly greeting. "Thank you for maintaining operations during this difficult period. I'm sure it's been challenging without Dad's direct oversight." The phrasing was carefully chosen, positioning my 6 years of increasing responsibility as temporary caretaking rather than genuine leadership development. Derek was already establishing the narrative that our family business had been operating without proper management, requiring his corporate expertise to restore professional standards. "The team has been incredible," I replied, gesturing toward our busy warehouse where employees were preparing for another day of serving Phoenix's construction community. "Our contractors have been very supportive, and we've maintained all our delivery schedules despite the circumstances." Derek nodded approvingly while reviewing the financial documents Maria had prepared. "Impressive revenue growth, though I notice concerning trends in operational efficiency and cost management. We'll need to address those issues immediately to ensure sustainable profitability." He'd been in our office for less than 5 minutes and was already identifying problems that needed fixing, approaching Martinez Construction Supply as another consulting assignment rather than the family business that had supported our household for over 2 decades. I watched him analyze our profit margins and expense ratios with the detached perspective of someone who saw numbers rather than relationships, efficiency metrics rather than community connections. "I've scheduled a staff meeting for 10 o'clock, Derek continued, consulting his phone calendar with the precision of someone who managed every minute according to corporate productivity standards. "We need to communicate some immediate operational changes to ensure this business remains viable during Dad's recovery period." The announcement landed like a physical blow. Derek had been back in Phoenix for less than 24 hours, but he'd already decided our family business needed immediate restructuring. No consultation with employees who'd been here for years, no discussion with contractors who depended on our services, just corporate efficiency analysis, leading to predetermined conclusions about necessary changes. "What kind of operational changes?" I asked, though the sinking feeling in my stomach suggested I already understood the direction Derek was heading. Derek's expression remained professionally neutral, but I caught something calculating in his eyes that reminded me of the ambitious teenager who'd always competed with me for Roberto's approval. "Comprehensive cost reduction initiatives to improve profit margins and ensure sustainable operations. This business has been operating with significant inefficiencies that corporate analysis can quickly identify and correct." The corporate speak was infuriating, but more disturbing was Derek's assumption that he could waltz into our family business and immediately improve on systems Roberto and I had refined over years of serving Phoenix's construction industry. Our inefficiencies were often relationship investments, like keeping extra inventory to accommodate emergency contractor needs or maintaining longtime employees who understood our customers better than any new hire could. Maria exchanged worried glances with me as Derek continued reviewing our financial statements, making notes in a leather portfolio that probably cost more than most of our employees' monthly paychecks. The message was clear: Martinez Construction Supply was about to experience the kind of corporate restructuring Derek specialized in, whether our family business needed it or not. At precisely 10 o'clock, Derek gathered our entire staff in the warehouse's break room, a modest space where Roberto had held countless informal meetings over the years. Our employees filled the folding chairs Maria had arranged, their expressions ranging from curious to concerned as they waited to hear from the Martinez son they barely remembered. 25 people who'd helped build Martinez Construction Supply into a respected Phoenix business sat quietly while Derek delivered what sounded like a prepared corporate presentation. Delivery drivers who'd navigated Arizona's highways for years, warehouse workers who could identify any building material at a glance, and office staff who developed personal relationships with our contractor clients all listened as Derek explained the need for operational optimization during this transitional period. Effective immediately, Derek announced with the confident authority of someone accustomed to delivering corporate restructuring plans, Martinez Construction Supply will be implementing cost reduction measures to ensure sustainable profitability during my father's recovery. These changes are necessary to maintain the business's long-term viability. The room grew increasingly tense as Derek outlined his efficiency improvements. Inventory reductions to improve cash flow, delivery schedule modifications to reduce transportation costs, and administrative streamlining to eliminate redundant positions. Each change made sense from a spreadsheet perspective, but ignored the relationships and service quality that differentiated us from larger competitors. Then came the announcement that made my blood run cold. Additionally, we'll be restructuring management compensation to align with industry standards and operational responsibilities, Derek continued, his gaze settling on me with unmistakable intent. Jake's salary will be reduced by 50%, reflecting his role as operations supervisor rather than general manager during this transitional period. The words hit like a sledgehammer to the chest. 50% salary reduction, positioning me as a supervisor rather than the operations manager I'd been for 3 years. Derek was systematically dismantling my authority while ensuring I couldn't afford to maintain my current lifestyle, creating financial pressure that would either force my compliance or my departure. Our employees stared in shocked silence, recognizing the injustice of punishing the person who'd kept their paychecks coming during Roberto's hospitalization. Maria's face flushed with anger, while our warehouse supervisor Luis Hernandez shook his head in obvious disgust. These people had watched me grow from Roberto's eager teenager into a competent business leader, and they understood that Derek's salary cut was about power rather than operational efficiency. The changes will take effect with next week's payroll, Derek concluded, apparently oblivious to the hostile energy filling our break room. I appreciate everyone's cooperation during this necessary transition period. As our employees filed out in stunned silence, I remained seated, processing the magnitude of Derek's opening move. This wasn't just about salary reduction, it was a calculated attack designed to establish his dominance while undermining my standing within our family business. Derek had returned to Phoenix with a plan to seize control of Martinez Construction Supply, and he was implementing that plan with corporate ruthlessness that would have appalled our hospitalized father. The 50% salary cut would devastate my personal finances, making it impossible to maintain my mortgage payments and forcing difficult choices about my future at the company Roberto had always expected me to help lead. Derek had crafted a perfect trap: accept the humiliation and financial hardship, or abandon the family business during its most vulnerable period. But as I sat in that break room where Roberto had shared countless stories about building something meaningful from nothing, I realized Derek had made a critical miscalculation. He'd approached Martinez Construction Supply as another corporate consulting assignment, but our success had never been about efficiency metrics or cost reduction initiatives. We'd built our reputation on relationships, service quality, and the trust contractors placed in our expertise and reliability. Derek might have an MBA and corporate restructuring experience, but he'd been away from Phoenix's construction industry for 8 years. He didn't know that Tom Bradley was considering switching suppliers due to delivery delays from our main competitor. He wasn't aware that we'd recently landed an exclusive contract to supply materials for a luxury resort development in Sedona. Most importantly, he had no idea that our contractor clients valued personal relationships over corporate efficiency. As I finally stood to leave that break room, something fundamental had shifted inside me. Derek had declared war on everything Roberto and I had built together, but he'd forgotten that I'd spent 6 years learning every aspect of our business from the man who'd created it. The real battle for Martinez Construction Supply was just beginning, and my brother was about to discover that corporate consulting tactics didn't always work in family businesses built on trust and personal relationships. The rest of that morning passed in a haze of suppressed rage and mounting disbelief. After Derek's bombshell announcement about cutting my salary in half, I retreated to my desk while he commandeered Roberto's office, spreading financial documents across our father's mahogany desk like a corporate raider cataloging assets for liquidation. The sound of his phone calls drifted through the thin walls as he spoke with suppliers about renegotiating payment terms and optimizing inventory turnover ratios. Maria appeared at my desk around 11:30, her usually composed demeanor cracked with barely contained fury. At 45, she'd weathered plenty of challenges during her 12 years with Martinez Construction Supply, but nothing had prepared her for watching Derek systematically dismantle the workplace culture Roberto had spent decades building. "This is insane, Jake," she whispered, glancing toward Roberto's office where Derek was conducting what sounded like an interrogation of our lumber supplier. "He's been here 3 hours, and he's already alienating every vendor we work with. Jimmy at Desert Hardwoods just called asking if we're having financial problems because Derek demanded a 15% price reduction on our standing orders. The revelation made my stomach clench. Desert Hardwoods had been our primary supplier for premium flooring materials for over 8 years, providing the high-end oak, cherry, and exotic wood species that separated us from big-box competitors. Jimmy Rodriguez had developed a personal relationship with Roberto that went beyond simple business transactions, often holding special pieces for our most demanding projects and extending favorable payment terms during seasonal cash flow challenges. "What did you tell Jimmy?" I asked, dreading the answer. I assured him we're financially stable and that Derek is still adjusting to our operational procedures, Maria replied diplomatically. But Jimmy sounded genuinely concerned. He said Derek's tone was aggressive and demanding, like he was dealing with a supplier in default rather than a longtime partner. Derek's corporate consulting background was showing, and it wasn't flattering. In the sterile world of efficiency optimization, suppliers were cost centers to be squeezed for maximum advantage rather than partners in delivering quality service to mutual customers. What Derek didn't understand was that our supplier relationships were investments in reliability and quality that couldn't be measured on quarterly profit statements. The phone rang constantly throughout the morning as Derek's ham-fisted vendor negotiations created ripple effects throughout our supply chain. Contractors called asking about delayed orders, suppliers questioned our creditworthiness, and several longtime customers expressed confusion about conflicting information they'd received regarding delivery schedules and material availability. Around noon, Tom Bradley walked through our front door with the purposeful stride of someone who'd driven across town specifically to address a problem. At 62, Tom had built Bradley Custom Homes into one of Scottsdale's most respected luxury builders, creating million-dollar homes for clients who demanded perfection in every detail. His relationship with Martinez Construction Supply went back 11 years, built on Roberto's promise that quality materials would always be available when Tom needed them. Tom's weathered face reflected the concern that had brought him here on a busy Tuesday when he should have been managing construction sites across the valley. He'd built his reputation on delivering flawless homes to discriminating buyers, and that reputation depended on suppliers who understood that luxury construction required premium materials delivered precisely when needed. Tom said, his gravelly voice carrying the weight of decades in Phoenix's construction industry. I need to understand what's happening here. I got a call this morning from some guy claiming to be your new operations manager, telling me we need to discuss updated service protocols and revised delivery scheduling parameters. What the hell does that even mean? The description made me wince. Derek had obviously contacted our major customers without understanding the delicate relationship dynamics that made these partnerships successful. Tom Bradley didn't want to discuss service protocols. He wanted to know that when he ordered hand-selected walnut flooring for a Paradise Valley mansion, it would arrive on schedule and meet his exacting standards. That was my brother Derek, I explained carefully, aware that my response would influence one of our most important customer relationships. He's stepping in to help manage operations while our father recovers from his stroke. Derek has extensive business experience, but he's still getting familiar with our specific procedures. Tom's expression remained skeptical as he processed this information. Your brother sounded like he was reading from some corporate manual, talking about efficiency improvements and cost optimization. I don't care about your internal efficiency metrics. I care about getting quality materials delivered when I need them for my projects. The conversation was interrupted by Derek emerging from Roberto's office with a stack of customer files and his ever-present legal pad covered with notes. His corporate attire looked increasingly ridiculous in our warehouse environment, and his polished demeanor seemed calculated to impress rather than communicate genuine interest in our customers' needs. Mr. Bradley, Derek said, extending his hand with the practiced enthusiasm of a management consultant meeting a potential client, Derek Martinez, Operations Director. I believe we spoke this morning about optimizing our service delivery framework to better serve your construction timeline requirements. Tom accepted the handshake with obvious reluctance, his experienced eye taking in Derek's expensive suit and corporate vocabulary with undisguised skepticism. After 4 decades in construction, Tom could instantly recognize people who talked about building without understanding the practical realities of actually constructing something worthwhile. I was just telling that I don't need optimized service delivery frameworks, Tom replied bluntly. I need the same reliable service your father has provided for 11 years. When I order materials, I need them delivered on time and exactly as specified. Can you guarantee that level of service? Derek's confident smile faltered slightly as he encountered a customer who wasn't impressed by corporate buzzwords and efficiency rhetoric. Absolutely, Mr. Bradley. In fact, our new operational procedures will enhance service reliability through improved inventory management and streamlined logistics coordination. What does that mean in plain English? Tom asked, his patience clearly wearing thin. I watched Derek struggle to translate his corporate consulting vocabulary into practical terms that would reassure a contractor who just wanted reliable suppliers. His MBA training had prepared him to analyze businesses and implement efficiency improvements, but it hadn't taught him how to communicate with customers who valued relationships over process optimization. It means we're implementing systems to ensure better inventory tracking and more efficient delivery scheduling, Derek finally managed, though his explanation sounded rehearsed rather than genuine. Tom turned to me with an expression that conveyed volumes about his assessment of Derek's capabilities. Jake, I've got $1 million home in Scottsdale that needs premium hardwood flooring installed next month. The homeowner is flying in from New York specifically to approve the material selection. Can I count on Martinez Construction Supply to handle this the way your father always has? The question put me in an impossible position. Agreeing to maintain our traditional service standards might contradict whatever efficiency improvements Derek was planning, but disappointing Tom Bradley would damage a relationship that represented significant annual revenue for our business. Of course, Tom, I said firmly, meeting his gaze with the confidence Roberto had always demanded when dealing with important customers. We'll source exactly what you need and deliver it according to your project timeline. Derek's expression tightened almost imperceptibly, recognizing that I'd just committed our company to service standards that might conflict with his cost reduction initiatives. The brief tension didn't escape Tom's notice, confirming his suspicions that Martinez Construction Supply was experiencing internal disagreements about how to serve customers. I appreciate that, Jake, Tom said, though his tone suggested ongoing concern about our operational stability. Your father built this business on reliability and quality. I hope those priorities won't change during his recovery. After Tom departed, Derek immediately confronted me about what he termed unauthorized customer commitments that could compromise operational efficiency improvements. His corporate vocabulary was becoming increasingly irritating, especially when applied to customer relationships that had sustained our business for over a decade. Tom Bradley represents nearly $200,000 in annual revenue, I explained, trying to maintain professional composure despite my growing frustration with Derek's approach. Disappointing him to achieve short-term cost savings would be financially devastating in the long run. Derek consulted his legal pad with the deliberate precision of someone who believed written analysis trumped practical experience. Customer relationship management requires balancing service expectations with operational capabilities. Overcommitting to unsustainable service levels creates financial risk that could threaten the entire business. The response revealed how little Derek understood about our industry and customer base. Luxury contractors like Tom Bradley didn't choose suppliers based on cost considerations, they selected partners who could deliver premium materials reliably and support their reputation for quality craftsmanship. Our slightly higher prices were investments in service reliability that our competitors couldn't match. The afternoon brought additional evidence of Derek's misguided efficiency initiatives. Our delivery driver Carlos Mendoza returned from his morning route with disturbing news about customer reactions to Derek's operational changes. Several contractors had expressed confusion about modified delivery procedures, while others questioned whether Martinez Construction Supply was experiencing financial difficulties that might affect our ability to fulfill future orders. Carlos had worked for us for 7 years, developing relationships with customers that went beyond simple material delivery. Contractors trusted Carlos to help unload materials carefully, inspect shipments for damage, and communicate any concerns directly to our office. His reputation for reliability was part of Martinez Construction Supply's service advantage, but Derek apparently viewed personal relationships as inefficiencies to be streamlined. Jake, these contractors are worried, Carlos reported quietly, glancing toward Roberto's office where Derek was conducting another supplier negotiation. Patterson at Desert Vista Homes asked if she should start looking for backup suppliers because someone called her about revised service protocols that sounded like we're cutting back on customer support. The information confirmed my worst fears about Derek's corporate approach to customer relationship management. Patricia Patterson had been a loyal customer for 6 years, relying on our expertise to source specialty materials for her high-end renovation projects. Her business represented steady revenue and referrals to other contractors, but those relationships required personal attention that couldn't be quantified on efficiency spreadsheets. Around 3 o'clock, Derek scheduled what he called a strategic planning session to review his preliminary operational assessment and outline the restructuring plan he intended to implement. Maria and I gathered in the conference room Roberto had built for client meetings, a comfortable space that reflected our father's belief that important conversations required appropriate settings. Derek entered with his laptop, legal pad, and a thick folder containing what appeared to be a comprehensive analysis of every aspect of our business operations. His corporate consulting background was evident in the systematic approach he'd taken to evaluating Martinez Construction Supply, treating our family business like another efficiency optimization project. "I've completed my initial operational assessment," Derek announced, consulting his laptop screen with the confidence of someone who believed 3 days of analysis could reveal insights that had escaped Roberto and me for years. "The findings indicate significant opportunities for cost reduction and profit margin improvement through strategic restructuring." He began with inventory management, arguing that our current stock levels represented excessive capital investment that could be reduced through improved demand forecasting and just-in-time delivery systems. On paper, his analysis made sense. We did maintain higher inventory levels than strictly necessary from a cash flow perspective. What Derek's analysis missed was the strategic value of maintaining premium inventory to serve emergency customer needs. When Tom Bradley called desperately needing specialty trim work for a project running behind schedule, our ability to provide immediate solutions from existing stock had saved his reputation and earned his loyalty for years. Those relationship investments couldn't be captured in inventory turnover ratios, but they represented the competitive advantage that kept customers choosing us over larger competitors. Derek's operational recommendations became increasingly disconnected from the realities of our business model. He proposed standardizing our product lines to focus on high-volume materials with better profit margins, eliminating specialty items that required custom ordering and personal attention. From an efficiency standpoint, the proposal made logical sense. Standardization would simplify inventory management and reduce the personal expertise required to serve customer needs. But our competitive advantage was precisely that personal expertise and willingness to source specialty materials that big box stores couldn't provide. When architects specified hand-selected wood species for luxury homes or contractors needed custom millwork for historic renovations, they came to Martinez Construction Supply because we had the knowledge and supplier relationships to deliver exactly what their projects required. "The most significant opportunity for cost reduction involves personnel optimization," Derek continued, reaching the portion of his analysis that I'd been dreading. "Current staffing levels exceed operational requirements, particularly in administrative and customer service functions that could be streamlined through improved systems and procedures." Maria's face paled as Derek outlined his personnel recommendations. "Our office staff of 5 could be reduced to 3 through automation and process improvements. Customer service calls could be handled more efficiently through standardized protocols rather than personal relationships. Delivery operations could be optimized by eliminating redundant routes and consolidating shipments." Each recommendation demonstrated Derek's fundamental misunderstanding of what made Martinez Construction Supply successful. Our customer service staff didn't just take orders, they provided technical expertise about material specifications, construction applications, and compatibility issues that helped contractors avoid costly mistakes. Our delivery routes were designed to accommodate customer convenience rather than transportation efficiency, ensuring that materials arrived when needed rather than when convenient for our logistics. "Personnel costs represent 38% of our operational expenses," Derek noted, reading from his spreadsheet analysis with the detached precision of someone discussing abstract numbers rather than people's livelihoods. "Industry benchmarks suggest that percentage could be reduced to 25% through staffing optimization and productivity improvements." The clinical language disguised the human impact of Derek's efficiency recommendations. Maria Santos, who had become the administrative heart of our operation over 12 years of dedicated service, was apparently an inefficiency to be optimized. Carlos Mendoza, whose relationships with customers had generated countless referrals and prevented numerous service issues, represented excess personnel costs rather than relationship investments. But the most devastating revelation came when Derek outlined his management restructuring plan. Operational leadership will be consolidated under centralized management to improve decision-making efficiency and eliminate redundant authority structures. Jake's role will be refocused on day-to-day operations supervision while strategic decisions are managed at the executive level. The corporate euphemisms couldn't disguise what Derek was proposing: my effective demotion from operations manager to supervisor, stripping away the authority Roberto had gradually granted me over 6 years of proving my capabilities. Combined with the 50% salary reduction Derek had already announced, this restructuring would transform me from a business partner into an employee with minimal influence over operations. "These changes will take effect next Monday," Derek concluded, apparently unaware of the stunned silence his presentation had created. Implementation will require adjustment from everyone, but the long-term financial benefits will ensure the business remains viable during Dad's recovery and beyond. As Derek gathered his materials and returned to Roberto's office, Maria and I sat in shell-shocked silence, processing the magnitude of the transformation he intended to impose on our family business. In less than a week, Derek planned to eliminate jobs, reduce service levels, and restructure our entire operational approach to achieve efficiency metrics that ignored everything that made Martinez Construction Supply successful. "He's going to destroy everything your father built," Maria said quietly, her voice carrying 12 years of loyalty to Roberto and genuine affection for our workplace family. "These aren't improvements, Jake. This is corporate downsizing disguised as operational optimization." Her assessment was accurate and terrifying. Derek was applying generic efficiency principles to a specialized business that had succeeded precisely because it prioritized relationships and service quality over cost minimization. His restructuring plan would transform Martinez Construction Supply into just another building supply company competing on price rather than expertise and reliability. The afternoon's final blow came when Derek informed me that he'd scheduled meetings with our 3 largest customers for Thursday morning to discuss updated service delivery frameworks and revised pricing structures. The prospect of Derek explaining efficiency improvements to contractors who valued personal relationships filled me with dread. Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, and Mike Sullivan of Sullivan Brothers Construction represented nearly 40% of our annual revenue. These relationships had been built over years of reliable service, technical expertise, and personal attention that couldn't be replicated through corporate efficiency programs. If Derek's corporate approach alienated these key customers, the financial impact would be catastrophic regardless of whatever operational savings his restructuring achieved. As closing time approached, I found myself alone in the warehouse Roberto had built into a testament to American entrepreneurship and family values. The familiar sounds of our operation, forklifts moving inventory, phones ringing with customer orders, voices discussing project requirements, represented everything Derek was planning to optimize away in pursuit of abstract efficiency metrics. Standing among the premium hardwood flooring and custom millwork that had made our reputation, I realized the battle for Martinez Construction Supply's soul was just beginning. Derek might have corporate credentials and restructuring experience, but he'd forgotten that successful businesses were built on relationships and trust that couldn't be quantified on spreadsheets. My father had taught me that construction was ultimately about building something lasting and worthwhile, whether it was a beautiful home or a business that served its community with integrity and excellence. Derek's efficiency obsession threatened to demolish everything Roberto had constructed through decades of honest work and careful relationship building. The 50% salary cut and operational demotion were personal attacks designed to force my submission or departure, but Derek had miscalculated the depth of my commitment to preserving Roberto's legacy. This wasn't just about my career or financial security, it was about protecting a family business that represented everything Roberto had achieved through tireless dedication to quality and service. As I locked up the warehouse that Tuesday evening, I understood that the next few days would determine whether Martinez Construction Supply survived as the relationship-based business Roberto had envisioned or became another casualty of corporate efficiency optimization that destroyed what it claimed to improve. Wednesday morning arrived with the kind of oppressive Phoenix heat that made construction workers start their days before dawn. I'd barely slept, my mind churning through possible responses to Derek's systematic dismantling of everything Roberto had built. The 50% salary cut would force me to dip into savings just to cover my mortgage, but the deeper wound was watching my brother treat our family business like a corporate turnaround project rather than the legacy that had provided for our entire family. I arrived at the warehouse to find Derek already established in Roberto's office, speaking animatedly into his phone headset while reviewing what appeared to be vendor contracts spread across our father's desk. Through the thin walls I could hear fragments of his conversation with someone he addressed as Jennifer, apparently his former colleague from the Dallas consulting firm who was providing strategic advice about our operational restructuring initiative. The sight of Derek treating Roberto's personal workspace like a corporate conference room filled me with quiet rage. That office contained decades of memories, photos of construction projects we'd supplied, thank you letters from satisfied contractors, and the simple wooden nameplate that read Roberto Martinez, founder, which Derek had apparently moved to make room for his laptop and legal pads. Every detail reflected Derek's assumption that our family business needed to be transformed according to his corporate playbook. Maria arrived looking exhausted, her usual morning cheerfulness replaced by the strain of watching 12 years of workplace relationships threatened by efficiency optimization. She'd spent the previous evening fielding calls from worried employees who'd heard rumors about Derek's restructuring plans and wanted to understand whether their jobs were secure. "Luis called me at home last night," Maria confided as she prepared the morning coffee with mechanical precision. "He's got 3 kids and a mortgage, Jake. The idea of losing his supervisor position to streamline operations is keeping him awake. These people aren't just employees, they're family. Roberto always treated them like family." Her words reinforced everything that was wrong with Derek's corporate approach to our business. Luis Hernandez had worked in our warehouse for 9 years, developing expertise in material handling and quality control that couldn't be replaced through process optimization. More importantly, Luis understood our customers' needs because he'd loaded thousands of orders and heard countless conversations about project requirements and contractor preferences. Derek's efficiency analysis viewed Luis as a cost center, whose supervisory responsibilities could be eliminated through improved systems and streamlined procedures. What the analysis missed was that Luis's personal relationships with delivery drivers, suppliers, and customers represented institutional knowledge that had taken years to develop and would be impossible to replicate. The morning brought a steady stream of troubling developments as Derek's restructuring plans created ripple effects throughout our operation. Our longtime accountant David Chen called to express concern about Derek's requests for detailed financial projections and cash flow analyses that suggested possible preparation for significant operational changes or potential business sale. David had managed Roberto's books for 15 years, watching Martinez Construction Supply grow from a struggling startup into a respected Phoenix business. His relationship with our family went beyond professional services. David had attended every major family celebration and had been one of the first visitors when Roberto suffered his stroke. His concern about Derek's financial inquiries carried the weight of genuine friendship rather than simple business interest. "Jake, your brother's questions about asset valuation and operational efficiency metrics aren't routine bookkeeping requests," David explained during a brief phone conversation. "These are the kinds of analyses companies conduct when they're considering major restructuring or preparing for sale. Is there something about your father's condition that you haven't told me?" The implication was devastating. Derek's corporate consulting background included expertise in preparing struggling businesses for acquisition or liquidation, and his systematic analysis of our operations could be preliminary work towards selling Martinez Construction Supply rather than improving it. The 50% salary cut and organizational restructuring might be designed to force my departure so Derek could proceed with whatever plans he'd developed without family interference. Around 10 o'clock, our first major crisis erupted when Patricia Patterson from Desert Vista Homes arrived unannounced, her usually composed demeanor replaced by obvious frustration. Patricia had built her renovation business on delivering flawless results for discriminating homeowners, and her success depended on suppliers who understood that luxury projects required exceptional attention to detail and timing. "Jake, I need to understand what's happening with your service standards," Patricia said without her usual friendly small talk. "I got a call yesterday from someone who claimed to be implementing new efficiency protocols that would affect our delivery arrangements. When I asked specific questions about my current projects, he couldn't provide basic information about orders I placed last week." The description confirmed my fears about Derek's customer outreach efforts. Patricia's projects often involved complex coordination between multiple specialty materials, custom orders, and precise delivery timing that required intimate knowledge of her working methods and project requirements. Derek's corporate efficiency approach couldn't replicate the personal understanding that made these relationships successful. "Patricia, my brother Derek is helping manage operations during our father's recovery," I explained carefully, aware that my response would influence a relationship worth significant annual revenue. "He's still familiarizing himself with our customer accounts and operational procedures." Patricia's expression suggested skepticism about Derek's familiarization process. "Jake, this person didn't sound like he was learning our procedures. He sounded like he was trying to change them according to some corporate manual. I don't need efficiency protocols, I need the personal service your father has always provided." The conversation was interrupted by Derek emerging from Roberto's office with his customary confident stride and professional smile. He approached Patricia with the measured enthusiasm of a management consultant meeting an important client, apparently unaware that his previous phone conversation had already created concerns about our service reliability. "Miss Patterson, Derek Martinez, Operations Director," he said, extending his hand with practiced corporate courtesy. "I believe we discussed optimizing our delivery coordination framework to better serve your project timeline requirements." Patricia accepted the handshake with obvious reluctance, her experienced eye taking in Derek's expensive attire and consulting vocabulary with undisguised wariness. After 20 years in Phoenix's competitive renovation market, Patricia could instantly recognize people who talked about customer service without understanding the practical realities of managing complex construction projects. Mr. Martinez, I don't need optimized delivery coordination frameworks, Patricia replied with barely concealed irritation. I need the same reliable service your father has provided for 6 years. When I order specialty materials for a client's home, I need them delivered exactly as specified and precisely when needed. Can you guarantee that level of service? Derek's confident demeanor faltered as he encountered a customer who wasn't impressed by efficiency rhetoric and process optimization. His MBA training had prepared him to analyze operational systems and implement cost reductions, but it hadn't taught him how to communicate with customers who valued reliability over corporate buzzwords. Absolutely, Miss Patterson, Derek responded, though his rehearsed tone suggested uncertainty about what specific guarantees he was making. Our new operational procedures will enhance service reliability through improved inventory management and streamlined logistics coordination. What does that mean for my current projects? Patricia pressed her patience, clearly exhausted. I have premium hardwood flooring ordered for a Scottsdale renovation that needs to be delivered next Tuesday morning. The homeowner is flying in from San Francisco specifically to approve the installation. Will your improved procedures ensure that delivery happens as scheduled? The direct question exposed Derek's fundamental lack of understanding about our customer relationships and project requirements. Patricia wasn't interested in theoretical efficiency improvements. She needed specific assurance that Martinez Construction Supply could deliver the same personalized service that had supported her business success for 6 years. Our delivery systems are being optimized to ensure maximum efficiency and reliability, Derek replied, consulting his ever-present legal pad as if written notes could substitute for practical knowledge about customer needs. Patricia turned to me with an expression that conveyed volumes about her assessment of Derek's capabilities. Jake, I've built my reputation on delivering flawless renovations to clients who expect perfection. Can I continue counting on Martinez Construction Supply to support that standard? The question put me in an impossible position between maintaining customer confidence and contradicting Derek's authority. But Patricia's business represented too much revenue and referral potential to risk with diplomatic evasions. Of course, Patricia, I said firmly, meeting her gaze with the confidence Roberto had always demanded when dealing with important customers. Your hardwood delivery will happen exactly as scheduled, and will continue providing the same personal attention your projects have always received. Derek's expression tightened as he recognized that I'd just committed our company to service standards that might conflict with his efficiency optimization plans. The brief tension didn't escape Patricia's notice, confirming her suspicions that Martinez Construction Supply was experiencing internal disagreements about customer service priorities. After Patricia departed with obvious continuing concerns, Derek immediately confronted me about what he termed unauthorized service commitments that could compromise operational restructuring objectives. His corporate vocabulary was becoming increasingly aggravating when applied to customer relationships that had sustained our business for years. Patricia Patterson represents steady revenue and valuable referrals, I explained, struggling to maintain professional composure despite mounting frustration with Derek's approach. Disappointing her to achieve theoretical efficiency gains would damage relationships that took years to build. Derek consulted his legal pad with deliberate precision, as if written analysis could trump practical experience about customer relationship management. Service standardization requires establishing consistent protocols that can be maintained regardless of individual customer preferences or historical arrangements. Customized service approaches create operational complexity that undermines efficiency objectives. The response revealed Derek's complete misunderstanding of our business model and competitive positioning. Luxury contractors like Patricia Patterson didn't choose suppliers based on standardized efficiency. They selected partners who could provide personalized expertise and accommodate the unique requirements of high-end projects. Our willingness to customize service approaches was precisely what differentiated us from larger competitors who prioritized volume over relationships. The day's frustrations multiplied when Carlos returned from his morning delivery route, with disturbing reports about customer reactions to Derek's operational changes. Several contractors had questioned whether Martinez Construction Supply was experiencing financial difficulties, while others expressed confusion about modified procedures that seemed designed to reduce personal service in favor of standardized protocols. Jake, these guys are really worried. Carlos reported quietly, glancing toward Roberto's office where Derek was conducting another vendor renegotiation. Mike Sullivan asked if he should start developing backup suppliers because someone told him we're implementing cost reduction measures that might affect service reliability. The information confirmed my worst fears about Derek's corporate communication style alienating longtime customers. Mike Sullivan had worked with us for 8 years, relying on our expertise to source materials for his commercial construction projects. His business represented substantial annual revenue, but more importantly, Mike's satisfaction had generated referrals to other contractors who valued reliable suppliers. Around noon, Derek scheduled what he called a vendor optimization meeting with Jimmy Rodriguez from Desert Hardwoods, our primary supplier for premium flooring materials. Jimmy had developed a personal relationship with Roberto that went beyond simple business transactions, often holding special inventory pieces for our most demanding projects and providing flexible payment terms during seasonal cash flow challenges. I watched through the conference room windows as Derek conducted what appeared to be an interrogation rather than a collaborative supplier discussion. Jimmy's body language suggested increasing discomfort as Derek presumably demanded price concessions and modified delivery terms that ignored the relationship investments that had made our partnership successful for 8 years. After 30 minutes, Jimmy emerged from the conference room looking confused and concerned, stopping by my desk before departing. His weathered face reflected the bewilderment of someone who'd expected a routine business meeting but encountered corporate negotiation tactics that threatened a long-standing partnership. "Jake, what's going on here?" Jimmy asked quietly, glancing toward the conference room where Derek was reviewing what appeared to be contract modifications. "This guy just demanded 15% price reductions and modified payment terms like we're some discount supplier instead of your premium hardwood partner. Roberto and I have worked together for 8 years. We've never had conversations like this." The revelation made my stomach clench with anxiety about Derek's vendor relationship management. Desert Hardwoods provided the specialty flooring materials that enabled us to serve luxury contractors like Tom Bradley and Patricia Patterson. Jimmy's willingness to accommodate our custom orders and emergency requests was based on mutual respect and shared success, not the adversarial negotiations Derek apparently preferred. "Derek is still adjusting to our operational procedures and supplier relationships," I explained diplomatically, though Jimmy's expression suggested skepticism about the adjustment process. "Our partnership with Desert Hardwoods remains valuable to both companies." Jimmy nodded uncertainly, though his concern was obvious. "I hope so, Jake." This conversation felt like he was preparing to replace us with cheaper alternatives rather than working together to serve your customers better. Roberto always understood that quality materials require premium suppliers who invest in maintaining superior inventory. After Jimmy departed, Derek returned to Roberto's office with apparent satisfaction about his vendor optimization efforts, completely unaware that he'd just threatened a supplier relationship that was fundamental to our competitive positioning. His corporate consulting background viewed vendor negotiations as zero-sum competitions where maximum pressure yielded optimal cost reductions, ignoring the collaborative partnerships that sustain specialized businesses like ours. The afternoon brought additional evidence of Derek's misguided efficiency initiatives when Maria discovered he'd been reviewing employee personnel files and conducting what appeared to be individual performance evaluations without consulting anyone who actually supervised these workers. His corporate approach treated our employees like abstract resources to be optimized rather than people whose expertise and relationships contributed to our business success. He asked me for detailed productivity metrics on every employee. Maria reported with obvious distress. When I explained that our success depends on relationship building and customer expertise that can't be measured in simple productivity numbers, he said those factors would be considered during the optimization process. The clinical language disguised Derek's apparent preparation for significant workforce reductions based on efficiency metrics that ignored everything that made our employees valuable. Carlos Mendoza's worth couldn't be measured in delivery speed alone. His relationships with customers had prevented countless service issues and generated referrals that brought new business. Luis Hernandez's value wasn't just warehouse productivity but his quality control expertise that ensured customer satisfaction and reduced returns. Around 3 o'clock, our biggest crisis yet erupted when Tom Bradley called in obvious frustration about what he described as the most unprofessional vendor conversation I've experienced in 30 years of construction. Derek had apparently contacted Tom to discuss updating service delivery frameworks and had managed to insult one of our most important customers within the first 5 minutes of conversation. "Jake, what the hell is wrong with your brother?" Tom demanded without his usual courteous preamble. He called talking about optimizing our business relationship through improved efficiency protocols, then had the nerve to suggest that my project requirements were unnecessarily complex and could be simplified through standardized material selections. The description made my blood run cold. Tom Bradley's luxury homes required precisely the kind of customized material sourcing and personal attention that Derek viewed as operational inefficiency. Suggesting that Tom simplify his requirements was tantamount to telling him to reduce the quality standards that had made Bradley Custom Homes successful. Tom, Derek is still learning our customer accounts and operational procedures, I replied, though the explanation sounded increasingly hollow with each customer complaint. He doesn't fully understand the specialized requirements of luxury construction projects. Tom's response carried the weight of a 30-year business relationship that was suddenly in jeopardy. Jake, I don't have time to educate your brother about how to serve construction contractors. I need suppliers who understand my business and can provide reliable service without requiring constant explanation. If Martinez Construction Supply can't maintain the standards your father established, I'll need to find alternatives. The threat was politely delivered but absolutely serious. Tom Bradley's business represented nearly 15% of our annual revenue, and his referrals had brought us several other luxury contractors over the years. Losing Tom's account would create immediate financial pressure and send signals throughout Phoenix's construction community that Martinez Construction Supply was no longer the reliable partner Roberto had built our reputation on. After ending the call with assurances that I would personally ensure Tom's project requirements were met, I realized that Derek's corporate efficiency campaign was creating an existential crisis for our family business. His systematic approach to optimizing costs and standardizing procedures was alienating the very customers who had made our success possible. The day's final blow came when Derek informed me that he'd scheduled a comprehensive operational review meeting for Thursday morning with our 3 largest customers to present his enhanced service delivery framework. The prospect of Derek explaining efficiency improvements to Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, and Mike Sullivan filled me with dread about the potential damage to relationships that had taken years to build. These meetings will provide opportunities to align customer expectations with our new operational capabilities. Derek explained with the confident tone of someone who believed corporate presentations could solve relationship problems. Clear communication about our efficiency improvements will help customers understand the enhanced value proposition we're implementing. The corporate speak disguised Derek's fundamental misunderstanding of how our customer relationships actually worked. Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, and Mike Sullivan didn't want enhanced value propositions. They wanted the same reliable, personalized service that had supported their business success for years. Derek's efficiency improvements represented reduced service quality disguised as operational optimization. As closing time approached, I found myself standing in the warehouse Roberto had built through decades of honest work and careful relationship building. The familiar sounds of our operation, phones ringing with customer orders, forklifts moving premium materials. Voices discussing project requirements represented everything Derek was planning to optimize away in pursuit of abstract efficiency metrics that ignored the human relationships sustaining our business. The inventory surrounding me told the story of what made Martinez Construction Supply successful. Premium hardwood flooring from Jimmy Rodriguez at Desert Hardwoods, specialty millwork for Tom Bradley's luxury homes, custom materials for Patricia Patterson's renovation projects. Each item represented relationships and expertise that couldn't be replicated through corporate efficiency programs or standardized service protocols. Standing among the materials that had built our reputation, I understood that Thursday's customer meetings would likely determine whether Martinez Construction Supply survived as the relationship-based business Roberto had envisioned or became another casualty of corporate restructuring that destroyed what it claimed to improve. Derek's confidence in his efficiency improvements was about to collide with the reality of customers who valued personal relationships over process optimization. The battle for our family business had escalated beyond internal disagreements about management philosophy. Derek's systematic dismantling of our operational culture was threatening the very customer relationships that had sustained us through decades of competition from larger suppliers. Tomorrow would reveal whether his corporate credentials could overcome the practical wisdom Roberto had spent 23 years developing through direct experience in Phoenix's construction industry. As I locked up the warehouse that Wednesday evening, I realized that protecting Roberto's legacy would require more than passive resistance to Derek's efficiency campaign. The customer relationships Derek was jeopardizing represented everything our father had achieved through tireless dedication to quality and service. And those relationships deserved protection from corporate optimization that prioritized spreadsheet metrics over human connections that had taken years to build and could be destroyed in a single misguided conversation. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of crisp October air that reminded Phoenix residents why they endured the brutal summer heat. I'd spent another sleepless night contemplating the impending disaster of Derek's customer meetings, knowing that his corporate efficiency presentation could destroy relationships that had taken Roberto decades to build. The warehouse felt different as I unlocked the doors, charged with the tension of a family business teetering on the edge of transformation or destruction. Derek had arrived even earlier than usual, his silver BMW gleaming in the parking lot as he prepared for what he clearly viewed as a triumph of corporate restructuring over outdated relationship management. Through Roberto's office windows, I could see him rehearsing his presentation, gesturing confidently at charts and graphs that reduced our customers to efficiency metrics and service optimization opportunities. The first meeting was scheduled with Tom Bradley at 9 o'clock, followed by Patricia Patterson at 10:30 and Mike Sullivan at noon. These three contractors represented nearly 40% of our annual revenue, but more importantly, they embodied everything that had made Martinez Construction Supply successful over 23 years of serving Phoenix's construction community with integrity and excellence. Maria arrived looking exhausted from another night of fielding worried calls from employees who'd heard rumors about Derek's restructuring plans. Her 12 years of dedication to our family business had never prepared her for watching corporate efficiency optimization threaten the workplace relationships that had made coming to work feel like joining an extended family rather than simply performing job functions. Jake Luis asked me to tell you that whatever happens today, he's grateful for the opportunity your father gave him 9 years ago. Maria said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of genuine emotion. These people aren't just worried about their jobs, they're heartbroken about watching something special being dismantled by someone who doesn't understand what made it valuable. Her words reinforced everything that was wrong with Derek's approach to our family business. Our employees weren't abstract cost centers to be optimized through efficiency improvements. They were people whose expertise and dedication had contributed to every success Roberto had achieved through tireless work and careful relationship building. At 8:45, Tom Bradley's familiar pickup truck pulled into our parking lot, and I watched through the window as one of Phoenix's most respected contractors prepared for what he clearly expected to be an unpleasant conversation about operational changes that threatened his business relationships. Tom's weathered face reflected 30 years of building luxury homes for discriminating clients who demanded perfection in every detail. Derek emerged from Roberto's office carrying his laptop, presentation materials, and the confident demeanor of someone who believed corporate credentials could overcome practical experience in customer relationship management. His expensive suit looked increasingly ridiculous in our warehouse environment, and his polished vocabulary seemed designed more to impress than to communicate genuine understanding of construction industry needs. Bradley, thank you for making time to discuss our enhanced service delivery framework, Derek began with practiced enthusiasm as Tom entered our modest conference room. I'm excited to present the operational improvements that will optimize our business relationship for mutual benefit. Tom accepted Derek's handshake with obvious reluctance, his experienced eye taking in the corporate presentation setup with undisguised skepticism. After 4 decades in construction, Tom could instantly recognize people who talked about building relationships without understanding the practical foundations that made partnerships successful. Let's cut to the chase, Tom said bluntly, settling into his chair with the no-nonsense directness that had made him successful. I don't need optimized business relationships, I need the same reliable service your father has provided for 11 years. Materials delivered on time, exactly as specified, with expert support when problems arise. Derek's confident presentation began with slides about efficiency improvements and cost optimization that completely missed Tom's priorities as a luxury contractor. Charts showing inventory turnover improvements and delivery route optimization meant nothing to someone who valued reliability over efficiency metrics that ignored the personal attention required for high-end construction projects. Our new operational protocols will enhance service reliability through improved systems and streamlined procedures. Derek explained, consulting his prepared notes with the precision of someone who believed written analysis could substitute for practical knowledge about customer needs. Tom's expression grew increasingly skeptical as Derek outlined standardized service approaches that would eliminate the customized attention Tom's projects required. The presentation treated Tom's business like a standard commercial account rather than the specialized luxury construction operation that had made him one of Scottsdale's most respected builders. What does this mean for my current projects? Tom interrupted, his patience clearly exhausted with corporate buzzwords that didn't address practical concerns. I've got a $2 million home in Paradise Valley that requires hand-selected walnut flooring and custom millwork. Can your enhanced protocols ensure that I get exactly what I need when I need it? Derek's rehearsed response about improved inventory management and standardized material selections revealed his complete misunderstanding of Tom's requirements. The suggestion that luxury projects could be served through standardized approaches was equivalent to telling Tom to reduce the quality standards that had built his reputation over 3 decades. Bradley, our efficiency improvements will provide superior value through cost optimization and streamlined service delivery. Derek replied, apparently oblivious to the growing hostility in Tom's expression. Standardized material selections can often achieve comparable results while reducing complexity and costs. The response was devastating in its complete tone deafness to Tom's business needs. Tom Bradley didn't build comparable homes, he created unique luxury residences for clients who paid premium prices precisely because they weren't getting standardized products. Derek's efficiency improvements represented everything Tom had spent 30 years working to avoid. Comparable results, Tom repeated, his voice carrying dangerous calm that I recognized as a warning sign. Mr. Martinez, I don't build comparable homes, I build custom luxury residences for clients who expect perfection. They're not paying $2 million for standardized materials and streamlined service delivery. Derek's confident demeanor began cracking as he encountered a customer who wasn't impressed by efficiency rhetoric and cost optimization theories. His MBA training had prepared him to analyze operational systems, but it hadn't taught him how to communicate with craftsmen who understood that true quality couldn't be achieved through corporate shortcuts. Of course, quality remains our priority. Derek responded, though his hasty backtracking suggested recognition that his presentation wasn't achieving the desired effect. Our enhanced protocols simply ensure more efficient delivery of those quality standards. Tom stood abruptly, his decision clearly made. Jake, I need to speak with you privately about the Scottsdale project timeline. Mr. Martinez, thank you for your time, but I think this conversation has clarified our different approaches to customer service. The dismissal was politely delivered but absolutely final. Tom had spent 11 years building a partnership with Martinez Construction Supply based on Roberto's understanding that luxury construction required specialized suppliers who valued relationships over efficiency metrics. Derek's corporate approach had destroyed that partnership in less than 30 minutes. After Tom's departure, Derek immediately blamed the failed meeting on what he termed unrealistic customer expectations that don't align with operational efficiency objectives. His inability to recognize that he'd just alienated our most important customer demonstrated how completely disconnected his corporate mindset was from the realities of our business. The morning's second disaster arrived when Patricia Patterson entered our conference room with the guarded expression of someone expecting unpleasant news about service changes that would affect her renovation projects. Patricia had built Desert Vista Homes into a respected Phoenix business by delivering flawless results for demanding homeowners, and her success depended on suppliers who understood that luxury renovations required exceptional attention to detail. Derek's presentation to Patricia followed the same corporate template that had failed spectacularly with Tom Bradley, emphasizing efficiency improvements and standardized protocols that completely ignored the personalized service requirements of high-end renovation work. His slides about inventory optimization and delivery streamlining demonstrated no understanding of the complex coordination required for Patricia's multi-phase projects. Patterson, our enhanced service delivery framework, will provide superior value through improved efficiency and cost optimization, Derek announced with practiced enthusiasm that rang hollow after the morning's earlier failure. Standardized procedures will ensure consistent service quality while reducing operational complexity. Patricia's response was swift and devastating. Mr. Martinez, I don't need standardized procedures. I need suppliers who understand that every renovation project is unique and requires customized solutions. My clients aren't paying premium prices for standardized service delivery. The pattern repeated with crushing predictability as Derek's corporate efficiency rhetoric collided with Patricia's practical requirements for reliable suppliers who could accommodate the specialized needs of luxury renovation projects. His suggestion that her requirements could be simplified through standardized material selections revealed complete ignorance about what made her business successful. Quality renovations require suppliers who can source specialty materials and provide expert guidance about applications and compatibility, Patricia explained with strained patience. Your efficiency improvements sound like reduced service disguised as operational enhancement. Derek's defensive response about maintaining quality standards while improving efficiency demonstrated his fundamental misunderstanding of Patricia's business model. Luxury renovations couldn't be standardized or streamlined without destroying the personalized attention that justified premium pricing and created customer satisfaction. After Patricia's polite but firm rejection of Derek's enhanced service framework, she requested a private conversation with me about her current projects and future supply needs. Her message was clear. Desert Vista Homes would continue working with Martinez Construction Supply only if the personal service standards Roberto had established were maintained despite Derek's efficiency initiatives. The day's final catastrophe occurred when Mike Sullivan arrived for his noon appointment with obvious reluctance about discussing operational changes that might affect his commercial construction projects. Mike had worked with us for 8 years, relying on our expertise to source materials for office buildings, retail spaces, and industrial facilities throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. Derek's corporate presentation to Mike followed the same failed template, emphasizing cost optimization and standardized service approaches that ignored the complex coordination required for commercial construction projects with tight deadlines and exacting specifications. His efficiency improvements represented reduced flexibility disguised as operational enhancement. Sullivan, our enhanced protocols will provide superior value through improved inventory management and streamlined delivery systems. Derek announced with diminishing confidence after 2 consecutive presentation failures. Standardized procedures will ensure consistent service quality while optimizing operational efficiency. Mike's response was diplomatically delivered but unmistakably final. Derek, I appreciate your efforts to improve operations, but commercial construction requires suppliers who can adapt to changing project requirements and tight deadlines. Standardized procedures usually mean reduced flexibility when we need it most. The rejection pattern was complete. 3 major customers representing 40% of our annual revenue had politely but firmly rejected Derek's enhanced service delivery framework. Recognizing that his efficiency improvements would reduce the personalized attention that had made Martinez Construction Supply their preferred supplier for years. As Mike departed with obvious concerns about our operational stability, Derek retreated to Roberto's office to conduct what sounded like an urgent phone consultation with his former Dallas colleagues about salvaging his restructuring initiative. The confident corporate consultant who'd arrived Monday morning to optimize our family business was discovering that real customer relationships couldn't be improved through efficiency metrics and standardized protocols. Around 2 o'clock, our salvation arrived in the form of an unexpected phone call that would transform the entire dynamic of Derek's corporate takeover attempt. David Chen, our longtime accountant and family friend, had been conducting his own investigation of Derek's financial inquiries and had discovered information that cast serious doubt on Derek's stated intentions for Martinez Construction Supply. "Jake, we need to talk immediately," David said with unusual urgency. "I've been reviewing the financial documents Derek requested, and his questions aren't consistent with operational improvement planning. These are the kinds of analyses companies conduct when they're preparing for sale or liquidation." The revelation hit like a physical blow. Derek's systematic efficiency improvements and operational restructuring weren't designed to strengthen Martinez Construction Supply during Roberto's recovery. They were preliminary steps towards selling our family business to eliminate what he apparently viewed as a financial burden interfering with his corporate career aspirations. David's investigation had revealed that Derek had contacted 2 Phoenix area business brokers about potential acquisition opportunities in the construction supply sector, describing Martinez Construction Supply as a family business requiring operational optimization to maximize sale value. His efficiency improvements were designed to make our company more attractive to potential buyers by reducing labor costs and streamlining operations that corporate acquirers would view as unnecessary complexity. The 50% salary cut and organizational restructuring suddenly made perfect sense as tactics designed to force my departure so Derek could proceed with liquidating Roberto's life work without family interference. His corporate consulting background included expertise in preparing struggling businesses for acquisition, and he was applying those skills to eliminate what he viewed as his inconvenient inheritance obligation. Armed with David's devastating revelations about Derek's true intentions, I realized that the battle for Martinez Construction Supply had escalated far beyond sibling rivalry over management philosophy. Derek was systematically preparing to sell everything Roberto had built through decades of honest work and careful relationship building, treating our family business like another corporate consulting assignment rather than the legacy that had supported our entire family.
The afternoon's climactic confrontation occurred when I presented David's findings to Derek in Roberto's office, demanding explanation for his deceptive restructuring initiative and undisclosed communication with business brokers. His confident corporate demeanor cracked completely as he realized his liquidation scheme had been
Discovered. You're destroying everything Dad built to satisfy your own financial convenience, I said, no longer maintaining diplomatic courtesy with someone who'd been systematically betraying our family's trust. These efficiency improvements aren't designed to help the business. They're designed to make it easier to sell. Derek's defensive response revealed the entitled mindset that had driven his entire approach to our family business. He genuinely believed that Roberto's stroke had created an obligation for him to optimize the family's financial position through liquidating assets that required too much personal involvement to manage remotely from his Dallas corporate career. This business requires constant personal attention that neither of us can provide long-term, Derek argued, his corporate vocabulary finally giving way to honest admission of his intentions. Dad's condition means someone needs to make practical decisions about maximizing the family's financial security. The conversation was interrupted by the unexpected arrival of Roberto himself, supported by our mother Carmen and accompanied by his physical therapist for what was intended to be an emotional visit to the business he'd spent 23 years building. Roberto's condition remained fragile, but his doctors had approved brief outings as part of his rehabilitation process. Seeing Roberto standing in the doorway of his office, taking in the scene of his two sons engaged in heated argument over the fate of his life's work, created a moment of profound clarity about what really mattered in this conflict. This wasn't about corporate efficiency or operational optimization, it was about respecting the legacy of a man who'd built something meaningful through honest work and genuine care for his employees and customers. Roberto's presence immediately transformed the entire dynamic of our confrontation. Derek's corporate justifications for liquidating the family business sounded hollow when delivered to the man who'd created it through tireless dedication to quality and service. The efficiency improvements and cost optimization initiatives that Derek had presented as necessary modernization revealed themselves as preparation for betraying everything Roberto valued about business relationships. "Me, Joe," Roberto said quietly to Derek, his speech still affected by the stroke but his meaning unmistakable. "This business is not just money, it's people, it's relationships, it's what we built together." The simple words carried more authority than all of Derek's corporate presentations combined. Roberto understood instinctively what Derek's MBA training had failed to teach him, that successful businesses were built on human connections that couldn't be optimized through efficiency metrics or enhanced through standardized protocols. The resolution came swiftly as Roberto, despite his physical limitations, demonstrated the clear thinking that had made Martinez Construction Supply successful for over 2 decades. With David Chen's assistance, Roberto executed legal documents that transferred operational control to me while establishing Derek's inheritance through other family assets that didn't require his involvement in day-to-day business management. Derek's corporate restructuring scheme collapsed completely as Roberto's decision eliminated any possibility of selling the family business without unanimous consent from all parties. His efficiency improvements and optimization initiatives became irrelevant when faced with Roberto's determination to preserve the relationship-based business he'd spent decades building. The aftermath unfolded quickly as Derek's departure for Dallas became inevitable once his liquidation plans were exposed and blocked. His corporate consulting career offered more appealing opportunities than managing a family business that required personal commitment to customer relationships and employee welfare that he'd never valued or understood. Within a week, Martinez Construction Supply had returned to the operational principles that had made it successful, with personal service and relationship building restored as core priorities over efficiency metrics and cost optimization. Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, and Mike Sullivan all confirmed their continued partnership once assured that Roberto's customer service standards would be maintained. The employees who'd feared job loss through Derek's optimization initiatives emerged more committed than ever to the family business that had protected their livelihoods during a period of uncertainty. Luis Hernandez, Maria Santos, Carlos Mendoza, and the rest of our team understood that their expertise and relationships had been valued over abstract efficiency improvements. 6 months later, Martinez Construction Supply had not only recovered from Derek's brief restructuring attempt, but had grown stronger through the experience of nearly losing what made it special. Our customer relationships deepened as contractors appreciated our renewed commitment to personalized service over corporate efficiency protocols. Roberto's gradual recovery allowed him to return to limited involvement in business operations, providing guidance and wisdom while I assumed full responsibility for daily management. His stroke had created a crisis that revealed both the fragility and the strength of the business he'd built through honest work and genuine care for others. The irony wasn't lost on me that Derek's attempt to optimize Martinez Construction Supply through corporate efficiency had nearly destroyed the very relationships that made optimization unnecessary. Our success had never depended on maximizing profit margins through cost reduction. It had been built on delivering value to customers who appreciated quality materials, expert service, and reliable partnerships. Standing in the warehouse Roberto had built into a testament to American entrepreneurship and family values, I understood that the real lesson wasn't about defeating Derek's corporate takeover attempt. It was about recognizing that some things, relationships, integrity, commitment to quality, couldn't be improved through efficiency optimization because they were already perfect when built on genuine human connections. Derek had returned to Dallas with his corporate credentials intact but his family relationships permanently damaged by his willingness to sacrifice Roberto's legacy for financial convenience. His efficiency improvements and optimization initiatives had revealed the fundamental difference between viewing business as numbers on spreadsheets versus understanding it as relationships between people who trusted each other to deliver what they promised. Martinez Construction Supply continued serving Phoenix's construction community with the same dedication to quality and service that had made Roberto's American dream successful for over 2 decades. The relationships Derek had tried to optimize away remained the foundation of everything that made our family business special, proof that some values couldn't be enhanced through corporate restructuring because they were already built on the strongest possible foundation of human integrity and mutual respect. The morning after Roberto's unexpected arrival and Derek's exposed liquidation scheme, I arrived at Martinez Construction Supply to find our parking lot filled with an unusual collection of vehicles. Tom Bradley's pickup truck sat beside Patricia Patterson's company van, while Mike Sullivan's work trailer occupied 2 spaces near our loading dock. Inside, our conference room buzzed with conversation as 3 of Phoenix's most respected contractors waited to discuss what they'd heard about our family business crisis. Word travels fast in the construction industry, and the news that Derek Martinez had attempted to sell his father's business while preparing efficiency improvements had spread through Phoenix's contractor network overnight. These relationships that Roberto had spent decades building were now rallying to support the family business they'd helped sustain through years of reliable partnership and mutual respect. Tom Bradley stood as I entered the conference room, his weathered face showing concern that went beyond simple business relationships. After 11 years of working together, Tom understood that Martinez Construction Supply represented more than just another supplier. We were partners in his success who'd helped him build a reputation for delivering exceptional homes to discriminating clients. "Jake, we heard about what your brother tried to pull," Tom said without his usual morning pleasantries. "Patricia, Mike, and I wanted you to know that the construction community stands behind what your father built here. We've been talking, and we've got some ideas about how to ensure this business stays in the right hands." The statement carried weight that went far beyond customer loyalty. These 3 contractors represented significant influence within Phoenix's construction industry, and their public support for Martinez Construction Supply would send powerful signals to other potential customers about the stability and integrity of our operations under continued family management. Patricia Patterson nodded firmly from her seat at the conference table, her usual professional composure enhanced by obvious determination to protect business relationships that had supported her success for 6 years. Desert Vista Homes had grown alongside Martinez Construction Supply, with our expertise in sourcing specialty materials contributing directly to her reputation for delivering flawless renovations. "Jake, your father's business model is exactly what our industry needs," Patricia explained with passionate conviction. "Personal service, expert knowledge, reliable partnerships, these things can't be optimized or standardized without destroying what makes them valuable. We want to make sure you understand how much our success depends on suppliers like Martinez Construction Supply." Mike Sullivan leaned forward with the direct intensity that had made Sullivan Brothers Construction successful in Phoenix's competitive commercial market. His 8-year relationship with our family business had been built on our ability to source materials for complex projects with tight deadlines and exacting specifications that required suppliers who understood the practical challenges of commercial construction. "We've been discussing this among ourselves and with other contractors," Mike revealed, consulting notes he'd apparently prepared for this conversation. There's strong interest in formalizing our commitment to Martinez Construction Supply through extended contracts and guaranteed volume commitments that would provide financial stability during your father's recovery. The offer was extraordinary in its implications for our business security and future growth. These established contractors were proposing to structure their supply relationships in ways that would guarantee revenue streams and provide the financial foundation needed to continue operating according to Roberto's principles rather than Derek's efficiency optimization schemes. Tom Bradley outlined the specific proposal they developed through their morning discussions. 12 major Phoenix contractors were prepared to sign 2-year supply agreements with Martinez Construction Supply, guaranteeing minimum annual purchase volumes in exchange for continued access to the personalized service and expert support that had made their partnership successful. We're not just talking about maintaining current relationships, Tom explained with obvious enthusiasm for their collective plan. We're proposing to grow these partnerships because we understand that suppliers like Martinez Construction Supply are becoming rare in an industry that's moving toward corporate efficiency over personal service. The financial security represented by these extended contracts would eliminate any possibility of future liquidation attempts while providing the stability needed to implement Roberto's vision for gradual business expansion. More importantly, the public commitment from Phoenix's construction community would demonstrate that relationship-based businesses could thrive when supported by customers who valued authentic partnerships. Patricia Patterson presented additional details about their collective proposal, including commitments for specialty materials sourcing that would leverage our expertise in areas where larger competitors couldn't provide comparable service. Desert Vista Homes wanted to formalize our role as their preferred supplier for luxury renovation materials, while Tom Bradley proposed establishing Martinez Construction Supply as the exclusive millwork supplier for his custom home projects. These arrangements would provide you with predictable revenue while giving us guaranteed access to the expertise we need. It's a partnership model that benefits everyone while protecting the relationships your father spent decades building. Mike Sullivan added commercial construction commitments that would expand our market presence in Phoenix's growing office and retail development sector. Sullivan Brothers Construction was prepared to designate Martinez Construction Supply as their primary materials supplier for projects requiring specialized expertise and reliable delivery coordination. The meeting concluded with handshake agreements that carried more weight than corporate contracts because they were based on mutual respect and shared understanding of what made business partnerships successful. These contractors weren't just committing to purchase volumes, they were investing in preserving a business model that had supported their own success for years. As our impromptu supporters departed to manage their various construction projects throughout the valley, I realized that Derek's attempted liquidation had inadvertently strengthened our position within Phoenix's construction community. His corporate efficiency approach had demonstrated exactly what contractors valued about Martinez Construction Supply by threatening to destroy it through standardization and optimization. The afternoon brought additional validation when Jimmy Rodriguez from Desert Hardwoods arrived unannounced to discuss supply relationship stability following Derek's aggressive renegotiation attempts. Jimmy's 8-year partnership with Roberto had weathered seasonal fluctuations and economic challenges because it was built on mutual respect rather than adversarial negotiations over cost reductions. Jake, I wanted you to know that Desert Hardwoods is committed to maintaining our partnership exactly as your father established it, Jimmy announced with obvious relief about Derek's departure. Your brother's approach last week reminded me why I value working with family businesses that understand the importance of supplier relationships. Jimmy's commitment included expanded inventory holding agreements that would ensure premium hardwood availability for our luxury contractor customers while providing Desert Hardwoods with predictable volume commitments. His willingness to invest in deeper partnership reflected confidence that Martinez Construction Supply would continue operating according to Roberto's relationship-based principles. Similar supplier commitments emerged throughout the week as vendors who'd been alienated by Derek's optimization demands expressed relief about returning to collaborative partnerships that had sustained mutual success for years. Our supply chain relationships strengthened as Roberto's approach to business partnerships was validated against Derek's corporate efficiency model. The most meaningful validation came when Roberto himself was able to visit the warehouse for extended periods as his recovery progressed. His doctors had approved increased activity levels, and Roberto was eager to reconnect with the business relationships that had defined his American dream for over 2 decades. Watching him interact with longtime customers and employees revealed how completely Derek had misunderstood what made Martinez Construction Supply successful.
Roberto's conversations with Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, and other contractors demonstrated the personal connections that couldn't be replicated through corporate efficiency programs. These relationships had been built through years of reliable service, expert guidance, and genuine care about customer success that went far beyond simple supplier transactions. Mijo business is about people helping people, Roberto explained to me during one of his warehouse visits, his speech clearer as his recovery progressed. Derek never understood this. He saw numbers and processes, but business is relationships built on trust and respect. The wisdom contained in Roberto's simple observation had guided Martinez Construction Supply's success for 23 years and would continue shaping our approach as I assumed full operational responsibility. Corporate efficiency metrics and optimization initiatives were irrelevant when business relationships were built on authentic human connections that created mutual benefit over time. 3 months after Derek's departure, Martinez Construction Supply had not only recovered from his restructuring attempt but had achieved the strongest financial position in our company's history. The extended contracts secured through our contractor partnerships provided stable revenue, while our renewed commitment to personalized service attracted new customers who valued relationship-based suppliers. Our employee team emerged more committed than ever to the family business model that had protected their positions during Derek's optimization threats. Luis Hernandez, Maria Santos, Carlos Mendoza, and the rest of our staff understood that their expertise and dedication were valued over abstract efficiency improvements that would have reduced them to cost centers in corporate spreadsheets. The growth we achieved through relationship investments rather than cost optimization proved that Roberto's business philosophy remained relevant in an industry increasingly dominated by corporate efficiency models. Our success attracted attention from other family businesses facing similar pressures to abandon personal service in favor of standardized protocols that reduced human connections to process metrics. 6 months after the crisis, Martinez Construction Supply had become a case study in how family businesses could thrive by maintaining authentic relationships while competitors pursued efficiency optimization that often destroyed what made their services valuable. Our customer retention rates exceeded industry averages, while our employee satisfaction created operational stability that corporate restructuring typically disrupted. Roberto's gradual return to advisory involvement brought wisdom and perspective that enriched our decision-making without overwhelming the operational independence I'd developed during his recovery. His experience provided context for strategic choices, while my energy and ambition drove implementation of growth initiatives that honored his relationship-based principles. The most satisfying development was watching Roberto reconnect with the construction community that had supported his success for over 2 decades. Contractors who'd worked with him since our company's earliest days expressed genuine happiness about his recovery while confirming their continued commitment to Martinez Construction Supply under family management. Derek's corporate consulting career continued successfully in Dallas, where his efficiency optimization expertise served clients who valued cost reduction over relationship building. His departure had been necessary to preserve what made our family business special, but the experience taught valuable lessons about the importance of understanding what truly drives business success. The contrast between Derek's corporate approach and Roberto's relationship philosophy became a teaching tool for other family businesses facing similar challenges about maintaining authentic values while pursuing growth and profitability. Our success demonstrated that some business models couldn't be improved through efficiency optimization because they were already built on optimal foundations of human trust and mutual respect. A year after the crisis, Martinez Construction Supply celebrated our strongest annual performance in company history while maintaining the personal service standards that had made Roberto's American dream successful. Our growth had been achieved through relationship investments rather than cost reductions, proving that authentic business partnerships created sustainable competitive advantages. The warehouse that had once been threatened by Derek's liquidation plans now bustled with expanded operations serving Phoenix's growing construction market. Premium materials from trusted suppliers filled our inventory while experienced employees managed relationships with contractors who valued expertise over efficiency protocols. Roberto's complete recovery allowed him to resume limited operational involvement while I maintained full management responsibility for daily operations and strategic planning. Our collaboration combined his decades of relationship wisdom with my energy for growth initiatives that honored family business values while pursuing ambitious expansion goals. The construction industry relationships that had rallied to support us during Derek's attempted takeover became the foundation for sustained growth that exceeded what corporate efficiency optimization could have achieved. Tom Bradley, Patricia Patterson, Mike Sullivan, and dozens of other contractors had invested in preserving a business model that supported their own success through authentic partnerships. Standing in the warehouse Roberto had built through honest work and genuine care for others, I understood that the real victory wasn't defeating Derek's corporate takeover attempt. The triumph was demonstrating that family business values, relationships, integrity, commitment to quality could not only survive in a corporate-dominated industry but could thrive when supported by customers and suppliers who valued authentic human connections. Martinez Construction Supply continued serving Phoenix's construction community with the same dedication to excellence that had made Roberto's immigrant dream successful for over 2 decades. The relationships Derek had tried to optimize away remained the foundation of everything that made our family business special, proving that some achievements couldn't be enhanced through corporate restructuring because they were already built on the strongest possible foundation of human integrity and mutual respect. The 50% salary cut that had once threatened my financial security was now a distant memory as our relationship-based growth strategy created prosperity that Derek's efficiency optimization could never have achieved. Personal service and authentic partnerships had proven more valuable than cost reduction and standardized protocols in building sustainable business success. 2 years later, Martinez Construction Supply had become a model for how family businesses could maintain their authentic values while achieving exceptional growth through relationship investments rather than corporate efficiency programs. Our success story inspired other family operations to resist pressure for optimization that would have destroyed what made their services genuinely valuable to customers who appreciated personal attention over standardized protocols. Roberto's legacy lived on through business practices that honored human relationships while pursuing financial success through authentic partnerships that created mutual benefit for everyone involved. The American dream he'd built through decades of honest work continued growing stronger because it was founded on timeless principles that corporate efficiency could never replace or improve. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up, just click and check them out.